Hey everyone, it's a daily dose of Dr. Drew. Here's Drew. Yes, you're. Oh, you don't have.
I don't know. Oh, there it is. Thank you all for stepping on in for the Daily Dose. Appreciate it very, very much. I see.
My music kind of blew my intro.
Right. Do you like our new intro waiting music? It's courtesy of our producer. They want to know what the name of the music is.
Oh, happy, happy, fun, joy.
Is that seriously what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. Happy, happy, fun, joy. That should be the new theme for the year for 2020. Happy, happy, fun, joy. If we can figure that one out, everybody, I'll be delighted.
One time I played it for Dave Navarro, and he said, "Get that shit off." Speaking of Dave Navarro, we had a great show with him this weekend, right?
We did, and that's going to be up as a podcast soon. Is that correct?
It's actually up as it's on Periscope and YouTube, and also on Facebook if anybody wants to see it.
Can you get it at drdrew.com as producer?
Not yet. We haven't put that one up, but we will. But you can find it on Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube.
Got it.
Wherever you watch.
Bonsoir de Constance Labelle. Comment ça va? And remind everybody that we do these Sunday shows. If you sign up at drdrew.tv, we send out a blast, particularly if you use your phone number, and you can actually text us your question, and we'll get you up on the call screen. We've had such well-produced shows lately that I've had too much to talk about, and you can see them and listen to them on the wherever you get these streams.
So if you have a question here you want to ask him on Sunday, text it to 984 Dr. Drew.
984 number 2 Dr. Drew. Yeah.
And I have a banner up, and also we are doing a show this Sunday with Leanne
Tweeden. And if we decide who else can be with her, we have some other good guests.
No.
Okay. Somebody's asking, Jeremy's asking, can you put it in audio strictly as a podcast because people like to be on the go? I'm that way too, so
yes.
I get that.
Yes. This week we're putting up Scott Adams, and next week we'll put up the next show. And
the Dave Navarro and all that
Yeah, it's
stuff.
all at Ask Dr. Drew on
it.
YouTube. Just, subscribe. Go to drdrew.com. Find the links there.
Hey, Ben, where are you in Australia? Are you okay? Ben's I see him scrolling by here on the Facebook feed. I can see Periscope, I can see Twitter, I can see Twitch and Mixer and everything. Yeah, because we worry about you guys out here. We hear, it sounds like it's Armageddon, and we've certainly been through our share of fires here in Southern California. And let us know how you're doing. And we are fans of Australia. We spent my whole family spent a bit of time there.
Right, we like it.
Sydney. Ben's in Sydney, and I understand in Sydney you're not really so aware of the fires. It's not bothering you, at least the way it is out in the outback, so to speak. We love Sydney. It's a beautiful city, and the people are great. So anyway, ask your questions here. I can watch these streams. Best ways to work on fear of falling. Oh, I don't have any. I'm going to bet there's a virtual reality treatment for that somebody's doing, because exposure therapy is one of the ways of dealing with phobias and obsessive thoughts and fears. And so I would imagine that there's somebody doing something with advanced or modified reality or virtual reality, something like that. That would be very interesting. You might want to go to the IOCDF.org, the International Obsessive Compulsive Disorder Federation.org. They've got a lot of stuff. It's a great website, and they have a lot of stuff for, obviously, OCD and anxiety, but also for phobias and things, too. Donna says we handle social media much better than Adam Carolla. I've got my producer here, my wife, to do that. Yeah, she's the one that makes sure.
Everybody asked me who my social media person. I said me, because if I have to tell somebody how to do everything, it would take all day. So I might as well just do it myself.
Right. Although I've been noticed, Adam's been a little more at it.
He did respond a couple times.
Yeah, and he's been a little present, and that's been interesting. What do I think of HIV cured articles? Yeah, I think that all looks promising. I mean, it's when I think about where I've been with HIV, it was something I worked with in my training back in the 80s, and then early in my career, I was doing a lot of HIV treatment. It's, in fact, why I got involved with the radio. I was so stunned that no one was talking to people about this thing. We were calling it GRIDS at the time, and it then became AIDS, and then we have HTLV3 and HTL1, 2, and 3, and then we finally called it HIV. And then we started developing treatments. I mean, in the history of medicine, there's never been a success story like this. It took us 1,000 years to figure out what syphilis was and how to treat it. This was a new syndrome. It developed in the late 70s, early 80s. The epidemiology was worked out. The pathophysiology was worked out, and then effective treatments were developed and put in place to the point now where people are living decades with this thing. It's just a miracle what we were able to do with that. So, yes, we should allow the medical system, and also, by the way, the HIV advocates, the AIDS advocates that were very central in making sure this thing wasn't overlooked. Everyone take a bow. It's and by the way, those of us that are, those of you that are still here and living with HIV, yeah, there's no one left from the era where it was so horrible. It was really just devastation. It was such a horrible thing. I will never forget it as long as I live, when all I could tell people was they had a few months to live, and that's all we could do. That's all we had. And then we had all kinds of problems. That Dallas Buyers thing that Matthew McConaughey was in, they undermined initially a lot of the treatments we were trying to do with AZT. They were telling everyone the AZT was causing AIDS. And they were initially helpful, and then they became a problem. And it's a much more complicated story than they presented in that movie. As always, they Hollywoodize it.
The guy who wanted to know about the podcast said The Daily Dose. Are we going to make that a podcast? Nope. You got to watch it on Periscope or YouTube or
This is going to be strictly a streaming live thing.
I mean, maybe in the future if we ever spin off or something. I don't know. We'll see.
I guess we might, if we have... I'll tell you how we would do it is if there was topics that really got me going and I wanted to get up and talk about it for an hour.
Yeah, we could probably. I mean, we could post them on the This Life podcast if we wanted to. So.
Yeah, Monique, you were at the San Francisco General Hospital in the late '90s, but by the late '90s it was getting better. It was late '80s, early '90s where it was just everybody died. It was just horrific. People forget how I bore witness to that. Oh, that's right. Somebody wanted us to talk about prostate cancer today, remember?
Oh,
yeah. And
he's back.
Yeah. What do you want to know about prostate?
I'm not sure was it he or she.
Yeah. Thanks, Colleen. What do you guys want to know about prostate cancer? I do know a bit about that. I'm involved with an organization called the Prostate Cancer Foundation. You can find out more about them at pcf.org. They fund some of the most creative biomedical research in the world. I notice you, not actually. Okay, well done. I want to know what UX Cutlery wants to know about prostate cancer, because yesterday somebody was asking about that, and I promised to talk about that today.
Boy, that was something.
What's
you
that?
Having prostate cancer.
My having prostate cancer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good times, right?
Mm.
So I had a thank you name here. I don't see the
name here.
Oh my gosh! But I'm looking for the prostate cancer question. So we'll just go into my situation. Which was, I was diagnosed sort of serendipitously and early. Your producer noticed that I had an illness. I got a H1N1 flu that
you were sick every month.
Well, I had an H1N1 that was devastating.
Like that year though, you were sick every month. You
Right.
always had something, and I was like, that's not normal.
Right, and so she sent me in. What age do I recommend get his prostate checked? Certainly 50, but if you have a first-degree relative with prostate cancer, 40. In any event. So 40 if you have first-degree relative with prostate cancer, 50 if not. And I feel the same way about the PSA. That marker, I know there's controversy about it, but I'm telling you, as someone that has experience in the field, it works a lot better to get in there too early, because now we have active surveillance. And so because I was sent in early and I was detected early, and both my internist and my urologist used their good judgment, I ended up getting a biopsy. I was pissed about it. I thought everyone was overkilling because they were anxious about me.
Well, they wanted you to go in immediately and have it removed.
Oh, no.
Right?
No, absolutely
And
not.
then we got that doctor.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I had a Gleason score of 6, and so everyone said you can wait a year. But
I don't remember waiting a year.
I waited a year, and then I got another consultation with somebody out at UCLA, and they were doing a program called active surveillance, because I was just a Gleason 6, so you didn't have to rush to get the prostate out. And I went on active surveillance where they re-biopsied me every 6 months, but I had a large tumor burden. Even though the type of cell wasn't aggressive, the amount of tumor that was growing was unusual, and the location was unusual, and so we elected to get it out.
It was not a comfortable procedure.
The Gleason, did you go through it?
I was there.
So the Gleason scale is just the way we assess the sort of aggressiveness of the tumor. Somebody's asking how Bob Forrest is doing.
Good.
Doing good. Women don't have prostates, Mag. That's correct.
Thank God. We have our own problems.
That's indeed true. That is indeed true. I would not
We
want
have babies.
ovarian cancer and breast cancer, and prostate cancer and breast cancer are neck and neck. And generally speaking, prostate cancer is less of a problem. I mean, it's not as aggressive as most breast cancers, even though we do cure most breast cancers now. My dad's PSA in '96 was 80. He died 2 years later. I'm sorry to hear about that.
My God. 80?
Yeah,
That's
it can go into the thousands.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. I like 6 was scary enough.
No, my PSA was 4.
Oh.
My PSA was 4, which is why I thought everyone was overkilling. But I'd gone from a 1 to a 4. And I did that in a year, and that rate of change bothered everybody. And I had a few red cells in my urine, which is another sign of something going on. And I got an ultrasound, and there was something a little weird and suspicious there. So it was everyone's, urologist impression, his instinct. Why you see a doctor is for their judgment. And it was his judgment that the right thing to do was get a biopsy, even though I was really trying to convince him otherwise. And he used his judgment, and that was the right thing to do. And my internist had kind of a funny feeling about things too, and he sent me to a urologist, which also was a smart thing and a good use of judgment.
Somebody asked if you talk about politics here.
We can do a little politics stuff if you want to, but I try to craft the show to what you're interested in and what your questions are here. Yeah, Frankie, prostate cancer, there's a version of prostate cancer that can be devastating, particularly if it's not picked up early. It's probably kind of the way prostate cancer works. It's like many different diseases depending on the specific genetics of the cell type. And we're starting to develop personalized and immunological care that really goes right at the genetics of a given individual's tumor. And that's a lot of the way cancer treatment is going these days, and it's a very exciting area.
Did you see the CBD question?
I did not. What was that?
Scroll up.
Okay.
Teach Drew how to scroll up.
I know how to scroll up. I just don't know where.
Jackie Newton.
Asking about?
What's a good dosage to start on CBD? I have really bad anxiety and panic, and I've been on Xanax, 2 milligrams, 2 a day, not working like I used to, but I can't stop because of the withdrawal, and it's been 20 years, and I've been on them. What's a good dosage?
All right, you need to talk to a doctor about finding something other than the Xanax. That Xanax over time makes panic worse, and that's what you're getting into now. This syndrome of withdrawal and using, and so this is not the time for CBD. This is a much more complicated situation than that. You have a very powerful pharmacology working here.
Oh. It's a lot.
Yeah. Is that Jackie Newton?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jackie, I just get to a doctor who knows how to treat Xanax dependency. And I'm not saying it's addiction. I'm saying it's dependency. Somebody did this to you, and it's Xanax is a very short-acting benzodiazepine, so it starts wearing off earlier and earlier in the day. Then people, increase the dose, try to get the pharmacology to last longer, but it always starts to get narrower and narrower in its duration of action until you get withdrawal later in the day. Yeah, Xanax. Frankie's saying Xanax is not for everyday use. I totally agree with you. It can be used for intermittent use, and it can be used, again, I don't want to say, this is not, again, we're here just educating. We're not talking about a substitute for medical care. Maybe she had a very good reason to be on it on a regular basis, but now it sounds like you're getting withdrawal from it. What about consent when you are hospitalized? Do you lose your right of choice and collaboration when hospitalized? Well, you lose when you go into a hospital, you sign consent papers, elaborate consent papers, or you don't get into the hospital. Now, if your brain isn't working right when you're admitted to the hospital, your physician is supposed to maintain a document that lets him or her know exactly what you want done in, say, extreme situations, particularly when your brain isn't working, or you assign somebody as your decision maker, usually your spouse. So, yeah, consent is legal consent, medical consent. These are very elaborately developed phenomena.
Thank you, everyone in Periscope, for your hearts. We love them.
Cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. Have I had any experience dealing with it? A little bit. We used to call it scromiting because people would start vomiting and screaming the intensity. So there's a syndrome that develops from very heavy pot use where you just start vomiting and vomiting and vomiting. Randy Wang over at KBC actually had it. And one of the only reliefs is a hot shower and getting off the pot. So that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's see. Did I change my mind on ketamine? After?
Sorry.
What was that?
I'm just looking at my phone.
Do you mean after the conversation we had yesterday? Listen to the episode there. I think you'll see I've always been an advocate of ketamine for recalcitrant depressions. The question is, should ketamine be used for trauma psychotherapy? And that's a little bit of a, we don't know yet, but that doctor I was talking to yesterday clearly has some very good results with that. Dunning-Kruger, somebody wants to know about. Dunning-Kruger is a syndrome Dr. Dunning and Dr. Kruger noticed, and I think it's we have Dunning-Kruger everywhere today, where essentially it's the syndrome that allows you, it's a cognitive distortion that allows you to think something or do something and believe what you've done is either right or well done. For instance, the people that get up in the trials for American Idol and they say, everyone tells me I'm great, and then they sound like hell. That is an example of Dunning-Kruger phenomenon. And it's a really fascinating cognitive distortion that we are full of these days.
So I'm going to show them the banner for the Truth About Ayahuasca and Psilocybin show that we did with Pauline Pinsky, Duncan Trussell, and Dave Navarro.
Okay.
So that's what you were just alluding to. I couldn't find the banner. I thought I did it. Okay.
And Tyler, we don't know why the showers weirdly help. We just don't know. How do they check a prostate? From behind with a finger, looking for nodules, also with an ultrasound or sometimes an MRI, and then the blood test, prostate-specific antigen.
Jackie's still asking about how much CBD to take.
I'm telling her not to take. Yeah, I'm telling her you've got to go see your doctor about this. This is more complicated than a CBD situation.
Would CBD hurt you if you're taking Xanax and CBD?
No. But the situation is so complicated. This is not just I have a little anxiety or a little insomnia. This is a major pharmacological agent in moderate to high doses is causing withdrawal symptoms. I talk to your doctor. I can't make it. Can't even talk about it intelligently at this distance. So.
I mean, I think if you smoke pot too, sometimes that'll give you an anxiety disorder. So maybe CBD is not a good idea because it gives me an anxiety.
Yes. What happened to you when you tried to use it for insomnia?
I woke up the next day and had an anxiety. It just
had panic attack, right? So it's not. The point is, and no harm, no foul. You tried it, and you had a little anxiety the next day, no big deal. But if you were in Xanax withdrawal and had an adverse reaction like that, that's pretty dangerous. So that's why we're holding back.
When I was 18, I smoked pot a little bit.
What?
Yeah, I did, and I didn't like it because it gave me anxiety, really bad anxiety. I always thought the police were outside or something.
Oh, you got paranoid.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
How about that?
I didn't like the way it made me feel.
So, Ben, thank you on After Dark. Oh, by the way, Miss Producer wanted me to be sure to show you these shirts. That this is all part of the After Dark sort of family merchandise.
Got to go to Merch Method / Tom Segura. So it's merchmethod.com / Tom Segura.
Right.
Or go to the Your Mom's House website, and it's all there.
Right.
We still have them available.
The T-shirts? Yes, we do. Okay, I'm scrolling through your stuff to see what else you'd like to talk about here. Be careful, Grand 164. You're making specific. Oh no, I'm sorry, Leaf Larson. You're making specific treatment recommendations, and that is not a substitute for medical care. Is Susan Pinsky pro-choice on abortion? Is that what we're talking about?
I'm pro-life, but
strictly
in certain situations, I'm pro-choice. So I'm moderate, but I'm more pro-life than pro-choice.
You're
like if someone's really young and they're still in school and they have, they should have a choice. And
so, all right. So you're pro-choice,
except for when you, if you're married or you're older and you accidentally get pregnant and you can take care of it and you have choices, or you have the ability to adopt. I'm pro-choice in those cases. But if somebody gets raped and they don't want to have a baby.
All right. So your thing is you prefer to protect life.
Yes.
However, you'll modify that given on the circumstance.
I'm a product of the 70s, so I obviously want women to have their own choice. It's their body, but I'm
Okay,
pro-life
so
just because I
Susan,
think that you have to really think about it.
I realize we should get Megan Daum in here. She wrote a book called The Problem with Everything, and I've been thinking a lot about her book lately, and she's come under some heat for that book. And it's a book just musing, she's trying to understand how different the feminism was of the 70s and 80s, 80s and 90s really, that she was living in versus what's happening now. And she's confused by it, and that's why she wrote the book. And I started thinking, boy, there's a missed piece in this whole story. And Susan, I think you and I have talked about it, that really led to the Me Too movement, which is that people our age, it was hammered into our head in the 70s particularly, that males and females are exactly the same, that the motivational systems are precisely the same. Therefore, if you, a 19-year-old male, is feeling something, the 19-year-old female sitting across from you is feeling the exact same thing. Period. And that really led to a lot of problems. And I think that's what Megan was sort of ruminating about in The Problem with Everything. And I want to talk to her about that. So
part of my reason is my mother accidentally got pregnant with me when she was in her 30s. And she had already had 2 babies that didn't make it in between me and my brother. And she always said that she wanted to have an abortion, but she decided not to. And I said, well, good thing, because worked out for me.
And by the way, we were presented with what's called selective reduction. We got pregnant with triplets.
I didn't want to do it.
And they were
I was going to have 4. I didn't care.
And they were trying to tell us to go down to 2.
In that case, I didn't want to do it, but we heard them out, and then we reduced naturally to 3. So. Yeah, it's a weird question. I don't know. Everybody has their feelings about it, and they have their own reasons. So
okay. So babies kill you is the acronym.
They do. They killed my uterus.
And he or she, it must be a she, is asking about prostate cancer. Wants to know about. It must be a male. Best thing to do to support the health of prostate that does run in your family. The really important thing for you to do is screen. Are you Norwegian descent? That would be kind of an interesting question, because Norwegians have a really special burden for prostate cancer, and it tends to be a more aggressive type of prostate cancer, so you really have to stay on it. Lorraine, I don't see your question yet. There are, obviously avoid tobacco and alcohol. Those are the big carcinogens. Some people say that low fat. Some people say high tomato intake. What's that? That was the dog shaking. Felt like an earthquake.
I walked in here today and I thought, God, I feel like we're going to have an earthquake today for some reason.
Not yet. But there's not a lot you can do really to prevent prostate cancer. What you have to do is stay on top of your proper screening for it. And African Americans, again, they tend to have more advanced kinds of prostate cancer at the time of diagnosis and more aggressive times. So any of you that have African American descent, if your loved one is a male, get him in there. There's a lot of resistance.
Also get color.com.
Well, color won't really well, it might, but there is something called color.com, which is a cheek swab that you can do that will check you for the 30 most common, essentially DNA repair mechanisms. The way cancer developed is every cell in your body is dividing millions and millions of times across your life, and that is a tremendously complex biological chemical process. And your body has systems that go back and repair the errors, because it's prone to errors. And if you have certain genetic makeup, that check system that doesn't work so well, and so cancers get through, and as you get older, the immune system doesn't keep them in check so well, and they tend to come on. So yes, you can find things like the BRCA gene, things like that. People are familiar with that. Lynch syndrome, which I have.
Your boys have?
Yep, my sons have as well.
Paulina didn't get it.
Nope, she did not.
That's thanks to me.
Yes, it is. What age for prostate exam? People keep asking. Again, if you have a first-degree relative with prostate cancer, meaning a father, son, whatever, uncle even, you get it at age 40. If it's everyone else, it's age 50. PSA and digital rectal exam.
There's Lorraine.
Yeah, did she ask the question, though? She was
Our area is having issue with local substance abuse counselors getting certified even though they're registered sex offenders. What can we do about this?
Our area is having a issue with local substance abuse counselor getting certified even though they're registered sex offenders. I don't quite know. My bet is they are not getting licensed. And so what you should do is ask for everyone at any particular program be licensed and avoid those programs where people don't have a license.
That sounds smart anyways, right?
Yes, it absolutely is. Licensing, state licensing is there to protect you and to make sure people have proper training and they are the proper people to be in those.
Is Bob Forrest licensed?
I believe he is. I believe so. I believe so.
I'm sure Shelley is. She's a nurse, so she has to be.
And Lorraine, I guess you spoke to a congressperson about this too. And I don't know where you are exactly in the country, but I would think the state, not so much the feds, would be interested in helping regulate some of this stuff. If not the licensed by the DHC, Department of Health and Children's Services, that is not a license. Licenses are given by the state. So it may be a certification, but licensing are issued through the state. Okay. You guys are asking great questions. Appreciate that. I'm just scrolling through before we've been going about a half hour, have we not, Miss Producer?
26 minutes and 50 seconds.
Okay, that's sort of our usual. Hi, DJ. California Central Valley. Yeah, there is a lot of licensing in California, so I would definitely talk to it's the quality of the programs you have to watch out for.
How do I feel about the attention you get, Dr. Drew?
Okay, how do you feel?
I mean, I'm used to it. I love it because he loves it, I guess. Or I guess if you're not getting attention and you're in the media, then it means it's not working. So, I mean, people love him, so that makes me happy. And so, I mean, in the beginning, it was kind of hard because, like, women would come up and just push me out of the way and take pictures with them. Or, it was kind of annoying. And I'd go, Drew, you have to introduce me because, they're just shoving me out of the way. But now I don't mind. I mean, people are pretty good. They're nice. And a lot of people come up to me and say that they like me, too. So
yeah, see, how about that?
Yeah.
So, Aaron, you're a first-year medical student. You want to know how to develop deep interpersonal connectedness without years of therapy. Some people have that talent. It's developing the process of empathy. It's about learning to listen not just with your ears, but with your entire body, and to trust your instincts based on what you're hearing and feeling. Clinically, I'm sure it's where you want to use that technique. And it just takes time, development. It depends what you go into. The main thing is to just really focus on the other person with all your might and make sure you're hearing them, and then listen to your own body in relation to whatever is being evoked. And then in terms of the medical piece, whatever your judgment, whatever your instinct is based on your experience, kind of trust that as a starting place. It's not something you're going to get as a first-year medical student, that's for sure. It's way into your residency, hopefully. And depends what field you're in. So if your patients are all asleep and you're a surgeon, it's completely unnecessary skill. Not completely. I mean, you have to have some of that. But it's not something that's important. What's important if you're a surgeon is perfecting the techniques of those procedures and getting your judgment squared on when to use them. Favorite Loveline moment from Agent 00. It's hard to pick that up. I was this morning, I think I was thinking about the time the security guard fell asleep and Adam crawled out on his stomach and put a microphone down by him to pick up his snoring. Kristen Bell saying hello from Pacific Northwest, not the frozen Kristen Bell.
Oh, no.
Yeah. All right. I think we had to kind of, babies that kill you. Want to know about microdosing and therapeutic use of other hallucinogens? You need to watch the episode we did. We did 2 hours on that yesterday. 2 hours. I'm not going back over that again just now. And you'll get a bunch of different opinions about it if you go listen to that. Watch that YouTube show. How do they get it again, Susan?
What's that? I'm sorry?
How do they get to see yesterday's show on the hallucinogens?
Oh, just go to the youtube.com/Dr. Drew and look for let me get the logo. The show with Paulina Pinsky and Duncan Trussell.
And you know Duncan's into the hallucinogenics. And then we talked to a really excellent psychiatrist who has some ideas about this as well. Hunter Gold, thank you for asking me to run for Congress. I'm not doing that this time. Maybe someday. I'm so morally incensed by what's going on in Southern California particularly that I do feel like I need to do something. So I will keep pushing. I'm going up to Sacramento in about a week and giving a talk. And I will continue to do something to push this thing along. But I'm not going to be running for office just yet. All right, Ms. Producer, should we wrap things up here?
I don't know what happened to that banner. It just keeps vanishing.
What banner is that?
The one, oh, here it is. The one that we did yesterday. We're very proud of this. We had a really good response to this show, and it was really interesting. So we also had a psychiatrist, Dr. Gita Vaid, and she discussed how she uses it in her practice, and then, Duncan gave his personal opinion, Paulina hers as well, and also the great Dave Navarro.
Gabapentin Adventure Kit is very safe for long-term use. It was designed for that. It's an anti-seizure medication originally. It's a very safe, very good medication. Somebody asked me something else. Yes, Duncan is very cool beans. Oh, does someone drinks every day? Does that mean they're an alcoholic? Not necessarily, though you'd kind of wonder about it. You look at the family history. Is there a first or secondary relative with that disorder? And are there consequences? That you look much more at that than the frequency of use. All right, you guys. Friend is sober in recovery from crystal meth. Good. Excellent. Okay. Let's wrap this thing up, okay?
Okay. Should I have music going out?
I don't know. Let's take a poll. Should we have music going out? Should the producer have something like that?
I can play it
again.
What
do we think? It's what's the name of that music again? Happy, happy, joyous, whatever?
Happy, joy, joy, joy.
Happy, happy, joy, joy, joy.
You like it?
That should be, no, Adderall is not good, Dory. No. I've seen Adderall in people with stimulant addiction really unravel people. It takes a little while, but they unravel. Happy, happy, joy, joy, joy should be the theme for the year, buddy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not going to sing you out. Yes, thank you for that suggestion, though. All right, everybody. We try to do daily doses in here around this time every day. Sometimes we do it in the middle of the day, depending on my schedule. And again, we are here on the weekends doing the long call-in show, so it's not just a scroll. It's actually active call-in. And do check out me and Adam every day, as well as the Dr. Drew podcast, a little more of an intellectual kind of pursuit. This Life That You Live is more about addiction recovery. And Dr. Drew After Dark, which I guess the producer, again, wants me to make sure I put the merchmethod.com up there. merchmethod.com/Tom Segura. Of course, they are the YMH guys. There's a Robert Paul Champagne house tour coming your way. Keep an eye out for that. And we'll see you tomorrow.
And remember, you shouldn't prolapse your anus.
Thank you, wifey.
Wifey?
Yeah, I thought you liked that. Greg Gutfeld used to call you that.